Hi, Joe here at woollycottage.com. Obviously they have to make themselves known. Okay, so it is December and I'm going to be doing something a little bit different this year for my Vlogmas. For the last 2 years now I've been doing 12 days of Advent and 4 Sundays of Advent for my videos on YouTube instead of doing the 24-day Vlogmas like a lot of people do. So what you will see over the next 43 days, 43 Joe, yeah, over the next 43 days for sake, for the next 4 Sundays on the lead up to Christmas, I'll release a video of my 4 Sundays of Advent art bats, which are 100-gram bats, and I'll show you what they look like. You can see the blend of them I will tell you about in a moment. And also what I'm going to be doing today is showing you how my dyeing of the yarn for the 100-gram yarns of the 4 days of Sunday yarn option. And then once they're dried, I will show you what they both look like. I hope you enjoyed this part. It's a little bit different. I don't normally show any yarn dyeing. I do dye yarn for custom orders. Occasionally I'll stick some on the website, but I do them as an option for Christmas Advents if you're ever curious. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So they'll be based on the for at least 4 colours from the Christmas Advent theme, which is all about teal. They won't be the same colour as the 4 Sundays of Advent art bats, not all of them, because some of the colours when they work together muddy up, and I want to create some really nice unique colourways. Okay, so first up is today is the picture that I'm about to put up now, so you can see what it all looks like. It's a grading of blue with tealy colours in there. I've set up the dyes already. I'm using 5 different colours. Aqua in a small pigment, aqua with a dash of turquoise in there, turquoise on its own, and forest green, which is a really dark turquoise, teal colour, and teal with a touch of blue, dark blue in there as well. So that's what I'm going with for today, and you'll see these, as I say, I'll release them for the next concurrent 4 Sundays on the lead up to Christmas. And then from there, you will then see on Christmas Day and the next 12 days after, the blending and creating of the 12 days of Advent 50-gram bats and the gifts that are included in with those, because I always add in loads of little bits and pieces into my Christmas Advents, probably a little bit more than I should do, and definitely a lot more than most people do. Can't help myself. So I hope you enjoy these bits of videos. This will be one video, but you'll see the results tomorrow, because I obviously need to get this dried and sorted out. So yeah, best get on with it. See how we go. If you hear any chiming in the background, it's my clock. Okay. Okay, so I've set my yarn up. I'm using a small tray. I'm not using a large one because there's only 2 skeins in here. The wool that I'm working with today, and they're all 4-ply that I'm working with, unless I'm asked by a customer to do a DK weight for a Christmas Advent. But this is superwash merino 70% with 30% bamboo. I haven't given it any other treatments or anything like that, but what I've done is the way that I've layered it out. So I have done stretched out and created a barrier in the middle with the middle section of the yarn, and I've done the same on this side with another section of barrier in the middle. So what I'm going to do is pour 1 colour here, 1 colour there, and put half of a colour on top of there. And then once the tray's cooled down, I'll flip them over and we'll rejig it so it sits like this again, and I will put the turquoise again in the middle with 2 other colours on either side, and we'll see what the results of that look like tomorrow. Fingers crossed it turns out how I imagine. You never know. So what I'm going to do now firstly is just get my citric acid scoop, which is roughly about 10 grams of citric acid, and it's food grade safe. You can buy it from all stores. You can actually buy it at the supermarket as well. Now, superwash merino strikes really quickly. Okay, so if I end up with white sections in this, I'm not really fussed. I think it'll look really good. And if you see, when you look at the picture, you can see that there's a really light shade of like a very subtle whitey blue. So if I end up with that, I'm quite happy with that look. I'm not looking for it to be completely solid. I'm looking for a nice wash. So I'm going to go in with my blue with the forest green first, and I'm going to just literally pour that over the top like so. I'll get my hands in there in a minute and give a wish about. And then I've got my teal green here, forest green in this section here. And then I have got my turquoise that I want to be the intermediary. So I will probably, with the turquoise, make another jug of this up so it all works out the same. I'm just going to get some water and add that into the tray because I don't want it to be speckling. I really want a nice wash of colour. And now I'm going to get my hands in. And you see what I mean about it striking really quickly. So I'm going to be making up some more of this colour, and I'm going to do that again. So bear with me a second while I just get another jug so I can build up the level of the water. So I've just filled up another jug full of stock. So I'm just giving it a stir to make sure the dye is all. I use warm water for doing this as well. There we go. My jugs are very small. I don't have massive jugs, excuse the phrase. So I have to double up on my liquid. But I wanted to give you the initial look. Right, I need to do another aqua, which is the colour that I was using. There we go. Just a little dash of the aqua. I didn't use a lot in my pot. And we'll fill this up with the warm water out the kettle. Like so. And pour that over there. Like that. And now I'm going to go in with my hands. And we'll get the heat on, and then we'll cool it down. I'll show you as this goes along, but it will strike quickly because it is a super wash wool. So we're going to get the heat on like so, and then we'll flip it over and we'll get the other side dyed up. Get my old towel for my hands. And I'm just going to double up my stock quantity for the other side and make up a little bit more aqua and get the kettle back on again so I can get some more warm water. So I'm just going to add a little bit more aqua because we want that for the other side. And then we want the aqua, and I want the, where are we at? Not platinum, I used Caribbean blue. So I used Caribbean blue for one, which we're just going to fill this up. Caribbean blue, a little dash in one, and then I did just Caribbean blue on its own to the other side. Okay, and there, and then we added a little dash, or I added a little dash of bright aqua to that to give it a greeny tone. So there we go, that's it starting to warm up now. It really won't take long. It will take longer for me to cool it, for it to cool down so I can flip it over. So we don't want it bubbling, we don't want to create bubbles in there, we want a nice steam coming from the yarn. Okay, So we're just going to leave that like that. It's on my biggest ring. On my cooker I have 5 rings, and on the one in the middle is my what's called a wok ring. So it's larger than the rest of them, so things really do heat up quite quickly on that centre one. So I'm just going to push this up so this side starts to heat and strike. It shouldn't take long because of the fact that it is actually a superwash wool. So I'm just filling that one up and filling that one up. And a bit more in there, and then I will fill the kettle up and get that heating up for my next lot. That'll do. I probably won't use all of these colours on the other side because there'll be a lot of water in the tray by that point. Just get this spoon to one side. And then once I've done this, then it goes into the sink with a little bit of fabric conditioner to help bring up the pH balance. And then I throw it in my my spinner, and then I leave it to dry till the next day. It may even be dry by this evening, but otherwise you will catch me in probably something different wearing tomorrow, and I'll show you the results of both of the 4 Sundays of Advent and the gifts that have been included in both of those. The filming of the 4 Sundays of Advent batts, you will see them being created in the second batch of videos which comes out from Christmas Day. Because the colourways in those are some of the same that's in the 12 days of Sundays, the 12 days of Advent. It all gets a little bit confusing even for me. So I'm just going to grab my tongs and see what we're looking at the moment. So in the middle is clear. That's clear already. That just needs a bit more heat, but that's nearly done already because it's the superwash, you see. Superwash is amazing. It's a nightmare to work with yarn wise because it does strike really quick, but if you're in a rush or you're wanting the superwash wool to work with, then it doesn't take long to do it. It's about timing. Preferably I try and not add my citric acid in there until I've added my colours in. But because now it's in the tray already, it's not really going to make much difference because I need to flip them over in a moment. So, as I say, I'm using 5 different tones and colours in this one. I'm loving the colour of this. It's a really tealy blue. Very, very pretty. Teals come in all different different colours and shades. You can go towards the green spectrum, or you can go towards the blue spectrum. You can stay in really dark hues, or you can go into more pastel shades. It all depends on what you're looking for. With this one, we're doing a mix of both, just to get started. So I think I'm at that stage at the moment, which I will come back when I flip it over, obviously, but I now need to let this cool down because the tray is clear. If I just pull that back, you can see the reflection of the tray in the back there. So I need to let this cool down now. I will be back with you in a bit after a cup of coffee and let this tray cool down. Right, so the wool's cooled down enough for me to be able to put my hands in the water and lift these out. So I'm going to lift them like so, and we're going to twist it around so it sits in the tray, and we want to aim for where the turquoise or the aqua was sat in the middle, like so. So I'm leaving it so it sits up like that, and that side's out, and we've got a little nodule in the middle so that the other colour can't quite go on there. So just you end up with a nice separated section. So we're going to do the same on this side. Spin it over, put it in like that. Make sure that sits over there, like so. And again, and then create a bit of a nodule in the middle so that the colour doesn't bleed into each other and you have three, hopefully, separate sections. But if you don't, and they bleed through a little bit, that's not a massive problem. You probably end up with a really pretty yarn regardless anyway. So I'm just going to push that up there a little bit, make sure that's up like that, and make sure that I've got a full bank across the wool here so that nothing can bleed through in between them. So I'm just going to find my old towel and give my hands a bit of a dry. And what I'm going to do now is get my turquoise and pour that straight on the top here. Now I don't mind that bleeding through onto both sides. Okay, and then we're going to get our next coloured blue, which I'm going to put on this side here. It comes a lot more wishy-washy, but we're happy with that. And then I'm going to get my next colour and put that right over the top of here. Try and cover all the sections with, might be lighter, and again a bit more here. And you're like, wow, Jo, there's a lot of liquid in there. Yeah, that's fine. I want the wool to be covered over, and it should strike really, really quickly, so I need to get the heat up really quick as well. And we'll start that simmering in a sec. And we'll see how that goes, and we'll get the results of that tomorrow. Ideally what I want is the tealy green to have at least show itself present, and then the aqua colours over here with this as a central colour band. That's what we're ideally looking for. So I'm just going to push that up here to try and get that to strike in the teal green or the forest green really quick and build up that colour. But because, as I say, it's a superwash wool, those dye pigments should be going straight into the wool now and not bleeding in too much onto the other side. And because we've already dyed them beforehand, the colour that I've just put on here will be a different colour on the other side anyway, regardless. But I'm quite pleased with how that's looking at the moment, and we'll just give that 5-10 minutes. It's starting to bubble now at the side of the aqua green, so I'll just turn that heat down just ever so slightly because I don't want it to bubble. Dyeing yarn is completely different from dyeing wool. There's a bit more concentration and thought that goes into putting colours together. Especially you need to know what colours, how they react in partnership with each other if they bleed through. So like you wouldn't want to, if you put blue and red together, you're going to end up with your purples, aren't you? So, but if you put like a red and a green together, you are going to end up with muddy brown colours unless you're really careful about it. It's just a lot more thought and preparation goes into putting those colours together. So I'm just going to move my kettle out of the way and turn that around because I really want this colour to strike quickly where the green is and underneath the teal green. I'm just going to have a little peek to see. Yeah. There we go. Just keep the heat going under there. And I'm just going to tease that out a little now. into the colours either side so that you get more of a gradient following through. There we go. But you're still getting a little dash of this aqua green in this midsection. It's all about experimenting and just having a bit of faith in, or not faith in yourself, but a bit of confidence to just wait to see what the end results are like. And the thing with yarn dyeing as well, no two colourways are ever the same. You can do this batch, you can write it all down, you can be gram specific with a small set of digital scales like these, digital scales, but when it comes to doing a second batch at a later date to try and replicate it, you can replicate the layering out and everything else, but it's not going to be the same, it's not always going to be identical to the batch before. That's why when you buy yarn from brand names, they always have batch numbers on them, because the pigment's not always going to be the same. I may end up having to buy in a new selection of, say, aqua green, a new pot of dye pigment from my supplier, but the supply that they get from, for me it's Dharma Dyes, so they may have changed up the recipe a little bit and it's not going to be the same complete colour as to what I had before. So you can't always guarantee that each yarn set's going to be the same. So if you're ever needing, say, 400 grams of a yarn, get 2 trays and do them both at the same time, or have a larger tray and do them, all 4 of them in the same tray, dye tray together, to guarantee that you've got the same colours going into it. They're all going to have their own characteristics anyway within there. Some will strike more in places and some will strike less in others. Right, we're nearly done. I'm just going to pull this back a little bit. That's nearly evaporated or saturated in. Let's have a little peek. So we've got really dark over here, and we've got the greeny teal over there is still present in that wool, so I'm quite happy with that. Turn that around a bit. I could add a little bit more citric acid to that tray if I wanted to create, to saturate, to soak up the dye pigment a little bit more, and I might just do that now, just so there's a little bit taken out from the back of the water now. But the yarn may have had its fill of dye. So I'll just give that another couple of minutes. And that's about it. So I'm going to let this cool down, then I will put it in the sink with a dash of fabric conditioner, and I will catch you later on this video, or the next flash, and hopefully we'll have some lovely results, and I will show you the Sunday art batt that the customer would have opened up today. So I'll catch you in a sec. So here are the results of the wool from yesterday's dye tray, and this is for the first Sunday of Advent. What do you think? So you can see colour pigment's not true on here, but there is a picture that you'll see at the end, and this has got more teal colour, teal green in here than turquoise, and then going into these softer bluey greens. Yeah, it's really hard to try and get the right light perspective because of the video. But you'll see in a second, hopefully, when I show you the end results of both this week's theme. So there you go. That's the best I can do. My light box and the light in the house is really, really dark. But I promise there are tealy greens throughout that section. You can just make them out, but it's quite dark on the exposure on this video. I do apologise, but you can see the colours that are used in this one here are the same colours that I have used in dyeing the yarn. Included in these today on this first Sunday is a Asian flower tea ball, which could be used a couple of times in a glass. It opens up into a flower. It's really beautiful. This specific one is Global Mara with jasmine flowers, rose flowers and green tea leaves. Then there's some aroma, I think it's wild fig or wild pear tea lights, and I've added in, even with the yarn, I've added in these ribbon threads in case you fancy doing a little bit of artisanal knitting or crochet, because you can just join them in as you knit along, even if you want to just do it on a decorative row and just add in some textured yarn with your normal yarn, just as you would do if you were using a thin lace weight yarn. Maybe it's got glitter or something like that in there and you wanted to add dashes of it throughout your 4-ply yarn. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. So yeah, so I've added in those to both the sets. So the 100-gram art batt and the 100-gram, this is a 70% merino superwash blended with bamboo 30%, and it's on a 4-ply yarn. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video and the creating of this yarn today. I will catch you next Sunday for second Sunday of Advent for the 100-gram batt and the yarn. The yarn may be a different colourway to the batt next week. I'll just have to make up my mind when it comes to the time. Okay, so I will catch you then. Have a lovely week. Don't get too bogged down with shopping. Don't stress out too much. Everybody will love being around you regardless of what happens at Christmas this year. Just make sure you've got lots to eat. Right, take care, and I will speak to you next week.